Good morning. Good morning. This is Dr. Sharon from the I Am Dr. Sharon show. And as you know, we are all broadcasting from home today. The gang is all here. My wonderful co-hosts, which I'm going to allow an opportunity to introduce who they are. We're going to start with Dr. Eunice Humphrey.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Dr. Eunice Humphrey. I'm one of the assistant principals at High Point High School. I also do a lot of consulting work, and so I'm excited to be here. Good morning.
Good morning. Desmond.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Desmond Williams. I am a former teacher and principal turned consultant and author. I'm the president of Nylinka School Solutions, and I'm happy to be back on the block.
Yay, we're happy to have you back on the block. Dr. Essie.
Good morning once again. I am Dr. Essie McKoy, the president and CEO of Dr. Essie Speaks Educational Consulting Company. I work with educators throughout the DMV in different parts of the country, doing speaking engagements, consulting, leadership, you name it, I try to do it. Experience K-12 through college. So worked at 3 different colleges and universities. Please go to my website and check me out and learn more about me. I'm glad to be here.
All right. So guys, we have a wonderful packed show for you today. Our first 2 guests are already waiting. And so we're going to bring our first guest on. He is none other than Principal Kafele. He is a highly sought after educational leader. He is a speaker. He is a presenter. He is everything. And as I always say, if you're an educator and you've not heard of Principal Kafele, you are living under a rock. Oh my goodness, his books are amazing. We're just going to bring him right on in because we have so much that we want to share with him. Principal Kafele, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm on fire.
Yes, as always, we are so glad to have you. And, you know, I'm just going to start out with saying, first of all, that you were supposed to have been on last month's show.
Right.
But what happened, Principal Kafele?
COVID-19 crept up in this house, you know.
Yes, it did.
You know, it's a long ordeal, but I got sick, and as I always say, I got violently sick, and then my wife got it. And, you know, so I was quarantined for 14 days. I just literally lived in the bedroom. But it's really an impossibility to be 100% quarantined in a house if there's people in the house and you can't do for self. So she was at least bringing the breakfast and the lunch and the dinner up, and eventually, you know, she got it. And she's coming along. She's good, but she still got some lingering cough and that type of thing. I have a little bit in me myself. But I've come a long way, but I've never experienced anything like it. My heart attack paled in comparison, right? I had 5 years ago. It was that bad.
Wow. But we are just so grateful that you now have the strength and everything to just at least have some sense of normalcy back again, because, you know, it had to been an ordeal. And so prayers to your wives that she has a full recovery as well.
Yeah, she'll be fine. And by the way, good morning to the 3 of you.
So please, Doctor, you know, we're going to start out, Principal Kafele, because you have a rich background in education, from classroom teacher to educational leader to now author of 10 books on education. Just a full life and background of education. Can you help us with your humble beginnings?
Yeah, you know, I left school in grade 9. I didn't see the significance of it at all. But I had a mother who wasn't ready to give up on her son. So I went back but I went back kicking. So I ultimately went to 4 different high schools in 4 different parts of New Jersey and graduated in 5 years with a 1.5 GPA, and then spent the next 5 years doing nothing. You know, I liked the things that the streets had to offer. So that was my schooling. So after that 5 years in total, 10 years of sleeping, I went to Kane University. I enrolled there here in New Jersey and stumbled on a book called To Kill a Black Man. The book was written by Lewis Lomax about the lives of Dr. King and Malcolm, and while drawing the parallels between the two of them. And that book blew my mind. It was the first book, 1984. I'm born in 1960. The first book that I had ever read in my entire life. I knew how to read, but I had never read a book from cover to cover. So when I read that book that first week that I was at Kane University, I became a 4.0 student and graduated summa cum laude, because that book took me to the autobiography, which I'm rereading literally right now, because it's like reading it for the first time, because you're reading it through a lens that's 30 years older, right? So reading that and studying Malcolm, studying King, and that led me to Garvey and so many others, and just reading history throughout the African diaspora. It introduced me to the person that I was looking at in my mirror every day. See, I didn't know. So once I did all that reading, I said, wow, there's more to me than I ever imagined. And hence my career began, my mission, I like to call it.
Awesome.
That's so great to hear. I'll say this. I am truly honored to be here with you today. I was just telling Dr. Porter that when I first started, I'm going into my 4th year as an assistant principal. And when I first started, one of the things that I did is look at everything that you did. Look at the videos, look at everything. So when I went to the interview, I felt ready. I was like, okay, I know what I have to say. So with everything that's going on right now and how education has moved to an online platform, what is one thing you would say to our leaders, to our assistant principals, to our principals who are maybe new? So what should they focus on? What really should they be doing as leaders?
Yeah, there's so much. And I'm gonna give you the short version. I had gone online the other night to talk about just that, and my intent was 45 minutes to an hour. And next thing I knew, I did 2.5 hours of responding to that question. So let me give you the short version. I say to principals, because I'm doing these, I never imagined I'd be doing Zoom presentation PDs every day. And this is what my life has become. I'm blessed that I'm getting the invitations, but it's every day sitting in this very spot, talking all day long, right? So it's, I'm a pacer and all that on the stage. So I can't do that now. I'm confined. So I tell my clients, let's do a lot of breaks, right? Because I got to get up and walk around. But here's the thing. I say to the principal that first and foremost, your home has become the main office of the school, right? It's everything emanates out of that. So although the principal understands that, because that's where the principal is, at home, but then I say, so therefore, principal, on a given day, let's just pretend that today is a school day. So today, principal, tell me this. What's happening in your school right now relative to teaching and learning, relative to just the teachers themselves, and relative to the students themselves? What's happening right now? And chances are, depending on the level of engagement that the principal has with the school, the principal may not be able to answer the question, may not know. So I'm therefore saying to principal, although we're under these stay-at-home orders and social distancing, etc., there's no way in the world that you could allow yourself to not engage your entire school adult community via this platform, whatever platform, but in terms of being able to see them, engaging them 5 days a week. Right? I know that there's probably not a teacher in America that wants to have a staff meeting every day, let alone once a month. But I'm saying, principal, unless you have that meeting and get feedback from staff and let staff hear what's on your mind and see you as you deliver it, there's a disconnect. You don't know what's happening in your school. Your school is literally leading itself without you, right? Which schools can do, right? I mean, that's a feather in a principal's cap. But when we talk about COVID-19 or in social distancing, etc., you got to be connected to that school. So if there's students who are struggling emotionally with what's going on, there's students who are not connected relative to connectivity, Wi-Fi, don't have a computer, whatever the case may be, teachers who are dealing with their own pressures, their own challenges with people around them, their families, whatever the case may be. As leader, I want to be connected to that. I want to know what are each of the teachers in my building going through, dealing with, and what does instruction and learning look like? So after it's all done by the end of the day, midday, whatever it is, now we come together, right? And then we just have a conversation as a team. And that way, as leader, I can know precisely what is happening with my school from afar.
That is so great. It reminds me of your quote. You show me a school with a principal behind the desk, and I'll show you a school without principal leadership.
Oh, man, you know that quote.
Appreciate your word.
Yes,
Thank you.
So Principal Kafele, this is Dr. Essie McKoy, and I know because you have been, good morning. I know that because you have been engaged in so many sessions all across the nation and throughout the world that you probably don't remember me, but I had the pleasure of being in one of your sessions, and I can tell you I was just in awe. And just to know the type of person that you are, your journey, your experience, you bring nothing but hope to so many lives, and we thank you for that. And I echo the sentiments of Dr. Sharon. You have so many awesome books. I want to know a little bit more about the attitude gap. But before you talk a little bit about the attitude gap, can you tell us, have you experienced anything that has been profound while dealing with COVID-19? Something that has just touched your heart that will help and inspire and motivate someone else?
I guess I have, and now I'm just trying to pinpoint in terms of education.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the main thing is, we talk about equity all the time. That's just one of my statements. To talk, client will invite me to talk about whatever that has nothing to do with equity, and I'm gonna find a way to spend at least an hour talking about equity, right? So, that's just what it has to be. So, but here we look at all these young people that have no computer access whatsoever. What that means, unless that parent is on top of it or has the ability to be on top of education, regardless of the fact we don't have Wi-Fi, we don't have connectivity. That means that education for that youngster has come to a screeching halt. It does not exist, right? So now I think about that every day. I'm looking at it every day, and I'm literally having conversations with people about that every day. I'm saying, so therefore what? Because there are children in other places where education hasn't missed a beat, right? Because parents are home and parents are ensuring that everything is taking place. So it's a full day, it's a full slate. So they haven't missed anything. In fact, education may have been enhanced depending on who those parents may be. So now you got that group who's moving along. So despite, let me just transfer it to the world of speaking for a second. For a hot minute, when all these cancellations came in, like they were coming like boom, and I'm like, oh my God. So now I started kicking and screaming like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got all these superintendent offerings out here. Maybe I better call somebody and say, I think I will take that job, right? But then I said, no, man, because you don't want that. You have to adapt to the current situation. So then I said, okay, let me start sending some emails to folks and do these presentations that they were canceling on this computer. And they started saying yes. I said, oh, okay. So now I got a full schedule. So, but I had to adapt to the time. So you think about youngster who doesn't have that ability because of the situation, and I can't adapt to this time, right? So now so that youngster's like, man, inactive. And then that one whose family or support system enabled him or her to adapt to it, now they can continue. See, so now that gap, like let's say it was right here, now it's widening by the day because I'm sitting at home, right? No fault to that child. I'm sitting at home and I just don't have the same access. Somebody sent me this picture yesterday, this drawing, my man Eric Court. And maybe you've seen it. I don't know if it's something that's going around, but it had a youngster, happened to be white, who was in the house, in his bedroom, engaged in a Zoom presentation with the teacher. And then outside was this black kid trying to see what was going on. So he had no access versus the one that was in the house that has the access. So when I saw that, I have a cousin who's an artist, and I said, I got some enhancements. I want to get that picture because I want folks to really see this and see the reality that you got young people who education has just come to a halt for.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Thank you so very much for sharing that.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, Brother Pele, good morning again. It's
yes, sir, Principal Brother.
Awesome to have you on. I mean, I probably have like 1,000,002 questions, but if we had to, if you had to prognosticate and think about all things being equal in terms of when kids in any given district would go back, what do you think that's going to look like for groups that we consider to be most vulnerable? And I asked the question because in the conversations that I've had with principals and school leaders, we've become very tribal, and everything is focused on distance learning. And a lot of schools, to your point, schools that were doing very well with digital learning when school was in are in that space now, and schools that were not prepared are very much now even more ill prepared. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on what is that going to look like from your perspective when these vulnerable groups, whether we're talking impoverished or Black or brown or whatever the case, what do you think that's going to look like when we do go back in a, whether it's September or October? What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to look like something that we've never seen before. Just like this pandemic is something that we've never seen before, for the very reasons that you said in the question and what I had said previously, because young people are now going to be in a lot of different places. You think about grouping of young people. We want classes to be heterogeneous, right? Mm-hmm. But we know that in a lot of cases they are not, particularly when you have an AP program, gifted and talented programs, etc. So now you're going to have young people who are in a given classroom and their experiences have been varied relative to the time that they were home. And some of those youngsters, we know that nothing occurred. Other youngsters, it could be a semblance of something that occurred. Other youngsters, it could have been more. So there's so much when you talk about young people, and now we all come back at the same time. And now groups of young people who are, like this, now will be like this. So now the biggest challenge becomes that the challenge of the teacher. Mm-hmm. How do I work this? How do I balance this? This is something I really have never experienced before in life. I don't know anything about this. Like, you think about the various teachers that I've had conversations with who struggle with distance learning. So here you are, that theoretically, again, that in a normal situation, you had this student-centered learning environment with equitable classroom practices, right? Theoretically speaking. And now all of a sudden you've got 25 youngsters or whatever the number of students are on a screen. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult to be student-centered in that situation, right? It's doable, but it's a new platform. So now the teacher has to learn all over again. I heard someone say, like distance learning is in the current time is like a Broadway play, where the Broadway play has rehearsals for months leading up to opening night, and then they got a dress rehearsal, and distance learning in the age of COVID-19 is like no rehearsal, no dress rehearsal, just opening night in real time, right? So there was no preparation. So no preparation for this, and then no preparation for when we return. So I think it's going to be very, very challenging. You think about the fifth graders who will move on to a middle school, the eighth graders who are graduating, and the seniors who are graduating, and how do we make that work? So I suspect a lot of young people are going to graduate, but they're going to graduate with less than the credentials to graduate. Because I was supposed to do a lot of every year I speak at a lot of graduations, And I just assumed they were canceled. And these people are calling me saying, nah, it's not canceled. We're just going to do it differently. It's not going to be a live graduation, but we want you to record a video, right? I'm like, you guys are graduating? Yeah, but you haven't done anything. But they're just going to pass these kids along and pass them out. And I guess the schools are going to accept them without the SATs and all that kind of thing. So, it's just a mess, but the bottom line in terms of your question, it's going to be drastic. It's going to be dramatic. And there's going to be a whole lot of PD that has to occur, PD that has never been provided. So it has to be created, right, for young people to ultimately be able to get back to where we were. But let me just throw this piece in here. I am obsessed with this whole notion of asymptomatic people. It's an obsession of mine. And my family here could tell you that. I talk about it all day, every day, because these people exist, and they're probably the majority of the people that are walking on the planet right now. So I know I have been around asymptomatic people, and I probably caught it from asymptomatic people. So when we talk about whenever schools are going to open, my thought process is always how. Because once we attempt to go back to normalcy, like Atlanta and South Carolina and Tennessee and other places, it's like, but have you considered these asymptomatics who are sick and who are spreading this virus, and we don't know who they are? So I don't know when schools are going to reopen, because I think that every time we come back together, that's going to be a factor.
It's a potential
potential
harm. Yeah. Yeah.
It is, guys. I tell you, we really, Principal Kafala, you're going to have to commit to coming back and spending the whole hour with us. You really are, because this is just so amazing and so needed. And we did have a question from a viewer, from Sylvia Chandler. She says, what are great steps on how to land an assistant principal job? And I'm going to preface that by, I'm so excited because you actually have a virtual academy for assistant principals that is free of charge that's coming up. That is huge. So in answering that, please share that information.
Yeah, that person, I guess, I'm assuming they saw the videos that I see. I have interviewing videos for assistant principals and principals. We're talking between the two groups, we're talking about 4 hours of footage, and it's amazing the huge volume of people who reach out to me. I don't think a day goes by that someone doesn't reach out to me and say, thank you, I got the job. And I mean that literally 7 days a week. When I'm out on the road, and half the administrators in that district have gotten the job because they watched those videos. So I decided, and I did the videos because so many people were struggling with the interview, great people, but don't know how to interview. So I did the videos, but then I've been obsessed, keep using that word obsession, with the assistant principalship, because I define it as the most misunderstood and underutilized position in education. So I wrote a blog about that, and it went viral. I've written about 50 blogs in my lifetime, and they've never gone viral. This one went viral. So I said, okay, this went viral, then folks are hungry for the book. So I went on and wrote the Assistant Principal 50, coming out in 2 weeks. So then that course, initially I called it a course, but I evolved it to Academy, Summer Leadership Academy, virtual Summer Leadership Academy, where I'm just saying to the AP, but not just the AP, the aspiring assistant principal, the principal who's the one that can make the changes, the assistant superintendent and the superintendent, I'm saying to them, look, let's rethink this assistant principalship. In some places it's going quite well. But in a lot of places, that person is a full-time disciplinarian, cafeteria duty 4 periods, bus duty right into first period, bus duty right into the last period. So when are you supervising staff relative to instructional leadership? So I want all those parties involved as well. And then we're just going to look at this assistant principalship for 18 weeks. I said it's going to be 30 minutes, but most people who know me know it's very difficult for me to do anything in 30 minutes. I usually do an intro for an hour when I'm doing a workshop, right? So, but I'm going to try to confine myself to 30 minutes per Saturday and just giving free game. Here's what you do, folks. So the post have been going viral. So hopefully a lot of people are going to tune in, and we're going to help some people.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Now, is the book still up for pre-order? Can people still
Yeah,
pre-order the book?
it's up for pre-order, and what a blessing from all the folks, because I said to the folks, get the book to supplement what we're doing, to complement what we're doing, and the book is #1 on Amazon.
Yes,
You know,
congratulations.
it's #1 bestseller, and it's been that way for a few weeks, and then it went to #1 new release, and it keeps going back and forth between the two. But that's because these folks are hungry for this 18 weeks, so they're buying the book up. So it's available for pre-order until May 11 when it's released. And then we just gonna get down.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So guys, we are going to actually continue on with Principal Kafele with our next two guests, two amazing guests. One of our dear friends, Principal Kafele, Dr. Melissa Nolan-Chester. She is the CEO and co-founder of the nonprofit Black Educators Rock Incorporated. She's also a licensed realtor in Florida and I think a few other states. And then we have Robert Simmons, who is the executive director of the Black Educators Initiative at Urban Teachers. So I am so excited to welcome both of these dynamic leaders to Education First. So please let's welcome as they pop in. They are coming in. We're excited getting their cameras together. Robert Simmons, welcome.
It's good to be here. How are you, Sharon?
Absolutely, absolutely. Hello, Dr. Chester.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, we're so glad to have you to add on to this most impactful conversation that we've been having with Principal Kafele. Yes. And so I'm going to ask Dr. Chester if you would start first with your real intro. I just gave a little snippet about who you are, but please share a little more. And then Mr. Simmons, if you would then do the same.
Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Sharon. So as Dr. Sharon said, I'm Dr. Melissa Nolan-Chester. I was a college professor for about 15 years. I taught at Florida State University, Florida A&M University, Grambling State University, University of North Florida in Jacksonville. I also taught online at Southern New Hampshire University prior to me transitioning into real estate. And so it was a strange transition. It has a backstory to that, but it had to do with my mom and home ownership. And so I ended up transitioning into real estate. And my focus with real estate, I'm a real estate instructor for the state of Florida, as well as I am a real estate broker, which I still practice though, but I manage about 150 agents here in Jacksonville. And we have agents over in other areas in the state of Florida, as well as Georgia and Alabama. And then I am the CEO of Black Educators Rock, which is a nonprofit for Black educators and those teaching Black children. And what else? I think that's like the snippet of it. Transitions have been because of life actions, life activities, but enjoy everything I do. But at my heart, I am a teacher. I am an educator. I tell everybody, no matter where I land, it's always going to be in some aspect that I am teaching. I love to learn and I love to share what I learn with others.
I love it. And you do such great work and just so proud to be a member of Black Educators Rock. So thank you for that. Absolutely. Robert Simmons, please introduce yourself.
Good morning. Robert Simmons, Executive Director of the Black Educators Initiative at Urban Teachers. Have been in education since '96, where I was a teacher in my hometown of Detroit. And I've served in a variety of leadership roles in several organizations, including in higher education, both in the public school districts and a public charter school sector.
Thank you so much. Thank you both for joining us. So we are really, I just find it fascinating that both the Black Educators Rock nonprofit organization, as well as the Black Educators Initiative for Urban Teachers, are both centered around our Black students, and as you say, those who teach our Black students. And I want both of you, if you would, Melissa first, then Robert, to please talk about why you feel the need for this specific focus.
Okay, so I'll start by saying Black Educators Rock, we were birthed from a Facebook group. Back in 2015, July of 2015, one of my former students from Florida A&M University, he's a dean now down in Fort Lauderdale. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, Doc, we need to start a group for Black teachers. We need some resources. We need to be able to encourage each other. And I was like, oh, sure, let's do it. He was like, so we're going to make it private. We're going to get in, and then we're going to each invite 20 of our friends, fellow educators. I was like, okay, cool. In one night, we had 1,000 educators. In 120 days, there were over 100,000 educators. And at that point, I told him, I was like, hey, there's some type of need here. And it's grown so organically. There was nothing that we did. And because of that, I said, you know what, we need to start a nonprofit. So that's when we started the nonprofit, because just to hear the educators, my concern was, we started the group to encourage, to inspire, empower. That's our motto: encourage, inspire, empower, share resources, etc. But what I noticed, there was this environment and this culture of complaining. And it was the Black educators who were talking the worst about Black students. And that was like, wait, hold on. And so because of that, we opened up the Facebook group in July of 2015. We were incorporated in October of 2015. January, 2016, we started accepting membership in the nonprofit. We ended up having a conference before we were even a year old, because I was like, you know what? We need to change this trajectory. We need to change this mindset. There needs to be a hard reset of teachers of color. And so the real reason for Black Educators Rock the nonprofit was to create a hard reset for those Black teachers. I mean, Black teachers were very harsh on Black children. And so we started the nonprofit and subsequently the conferences, and we are having our 5th annual Rock Conference, which of course, due to COVID-19, will be virtual this year.
Thank you. Mr. Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the work around Black teachers is actually not new. And I always want to situate it from a historical context, that our elders, from Michelle Foster to Vanessa Siddle Walker, have written about the history of Black educators as social justice advocates, and how many of them sacrificed a lot working behind the scenes. Vanessa Siddle Walker, who's a professor at Emory, just released a new text on this history that I think it's important for folks to read. And so for me, the work that I'm charged with leading is deeply personal, because my son last year had his first Black teacher. And because of the retirement system and the pension, she had to retire in December, and he was devastated. But
what grade?
2nd grade. And at the end of, during this whole process, she advocated for him to be in the Gifted and Talented program. And so I was kind of leery of it, very few Black students in it, blah, blah, blah. But she stood that line. And I think it's this legacy for me that's important of Black teachers standing that line in support and solidarity, not just with Black children and Black families, but being the backbone early on of the Black middle class prior to Brown v. Board of Ed. Pre-Brown v. Board of Ed, over 50% of Black folks in our communities in the South were teachers, right? Like that was almost like the family business for Black folks. And so for me, it's very important to connect the current state of affairs with Black educators to the historic legacy that Black teachers have had of fighting white supremacy and white dominant culture. And so I think that's why it's important for me for us to increase the number of Black educators in America, but also support them as they navigate the intricacies of both school systems, public, charter, private, whatever it is, so that they understand that they stand on the shoulders of the ancestors.
So Dr. Chester and Mr. Simmons, the work that you're doing is so very important. And Dr. Chester, it is great seeing you.
Hey.
Talk to us a little bit, Dr. Chester first, and then Mr. Simmons, about what you're doing currently with everything that is going on during these challenging times as it relates to education.
So great question. Well, for us, we actually have, again, because we started from a Facebook group, of course, our Facebook group is ever active. And I say our Facebook group, but we have dozens of Facebook groups. Because the main group is so large, we actually have subsets of the groups. We have like STEM, and we have reading, and we have mathematics. We have it broken down by states, because things are different in education based on what area you're in, geographically, as well as what area your content area is. And so, that activity is ever present. People sharing resources, so that's ongoing always. And then we have local chapters in Black Educators, right? Like actual local chapters. And I know Maryland, BER Maryland, which is where Dr. Sharon is and where she's a member, they actually just hosted a virtual conference talking about education and talking about how to transition into this online sector. We're also doing here in Jacksonville, our local chapter, which is the headquarters for the local chapter. We're getting ready to do a virtual closing of school summit. So we're going to do a closing of school summit. Principal Kafele is going to be a guest, many of our other educational greats, where they're going to share some tools and resources, as well as words of encouragement as we get ready to prepare to close this school year virtually. As I stated, we also are going to be doing the virtual Rock Conference in July of 2020. One thing that I think that we do that's completely different from other conferences, other nonprofits, we have a very, very highly concentrated area on affective things when it relates to education. So we have 3 areas of focus: instructional strategies and practices, professional knowledge, and advocacy and empowerment. And we put a lot of focus in that advocacy and empowerment, that self-care, like we said, those things, your mindset, et cetera. And so we're just continuing to do the things that we've already been doing, but just ramping it up, just making sure that we're stepping it up. We actually have a network, Black Educators Rock Network, where we actually have stations, Empower Media, Enlighten Media, Inspire Media, and educators can have their own shows on there. And so we're just continuing to provide them platforms to share with each other, to collaborate, which is one of our big ones, is collaboration. And so, working together, getting educators, like I met Dr. Sharon and Dr. Desmond and Principal Kafele all have been to the Rock Conference. And so we're all, we've all worked together, collaborated because of Black Educators Rock. And so we're just continuing to do what we've been doing, but just ramping it up.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Simmons.
Yeah, so Urban Teachers and the work that I'm leading is fortunate to be funded by a $25 million grant from the Balmer Group, with the goal of increasing the number of Black teachers, but also retaining them. The partnership with Johns Hopkins provides participants not just with a master's degree, but licensure in special education and grade level content area, typically middle school or secondary math. And there are a couple of others. And so part of the scholarship, or all of the scholarship piece, is organized by the UNCF. And so the UNCF manages the scholarship piece. So it's been it's been an interesting dynamic for me as someone who was in higher ed as well, to see how scholarship administration actually works, because I was always on the other end as a faculty member, so wasn't something I was all that familiar with. And so through this work, UNCF, the way they've explained it to me, they've committed to supporting Black educators to the tune of $30,000 in scholarships, which is essentially the full cost of a master's degree, but also ensuring that all participants get 85 hours or more of coaching in years 1 through 4, because we're a residency model for teaching in DC, Dallas, and Baltimore currently. This is probably month 3 in this role for me. So I'm still kind of learning how the organization functions in the midst of COVID-19. So that's really interesting from an organizational learning perspective. But I think in terms of the work, I produced the Black Educators Initiative Roadmap, which is a framework to imagine what's possible for recruitment and retention and supports for Black teachers. The other space is really digging in on 4 or 5 foci. One is looking at the intersection of Afro-Latinx educators and like, what does that actually look like in our work, and how do we pull that together, working to increase the number of Black women in secondary math, because that's an area we do certification with. And then also, just because of my own work, looking at Black male teachers, and obviously working with elementary school teachers. On Monday, we're going to host the first in a series for the Black educators speaker series, and we have our tech team is harassing me because they want to shut registration because we think that the Zoom is going to be too full. And so I have no idea how to manage a Zoom meeting anyway. So I guess they'll tell me tomorrow or later tonight what's supposed to happen. But one of my dear friends and colleagues from other work we've done together, Sharif El-Mekki, will be leading and working on that. And we have some growing partnerships with an organization called Never Whisper Justice to do a documentary film on Black teachers. And they're the ones that did the documentary film, Black Boy. So really looking to dig in as an organization and, you know, leverage the blessing of that Steve Ballmer and his foundation that provided just to support Black teachers, not just inside of Urban Teachers, but nationally, and bringing folks together to understand that Black teachers have a history of doing this work. Not just with Black students, but all students, help change the narrative of the intersection between Black identity development, but also Black intellectual creativity.
How many how many registrants do you
have? I'd have to go back and look. I'm not sure, but it's something that makes the tech team nervous apparently because they sent me an email at 6 this morning. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, Sharif El-Mekki, I actually had the privilege of helping him when he was with the Black Male Educators Convening. I think I helped them put on their first conference that they did a few years ago. So Sharif is a great guy.
He is.
So I'm inspired just by hearing you all talk as an educator of color, as a Latina, immigrant Latina. I know the need of representation. My question to you all, and you answer most of it, but my question would be for those who are not African-American and work with children who are African-American, and they want to become allies, what advice would you give them? And are they, can they also attend the conference? And is there workshops where we talk about some of these, some of these critical but really needed issues?
Great question, Eunice. I'll answer that with a yes. That's why we say for those teaching Black children. So anybody, so white and teachers, everybody's welcome. Unfortunately, I think the word Black scares them off. The fact that we have pride in the fact that we are educators of color is like, I do get progressive educators who will call and say, hey, am I welcome? We've had a few, not many, white educators teach. I think we may have had one or two Hispanic or Latina educators to attend the conference, but yes, all are welcome, because if you're teaching our children, we want you to understand how to teach our children. We don't want you to be coming from a place of, you're guessing and you don't feel that, like you said, you have those allies, and we want you to be comfortable in whatever feelings you have, whatever fears you have. We want you to have a safe space and place where you can share that information. So most definitely all are welcome in Black Educators Rock. You are a Black educator that rocks. I tell them, if you teach children of color, you are a Black educator that rocks.
I love it. Thank you.
Did he freeze?
It's great being here, breaking bread with you all this early. Dr. Melissa, it's so good to catch up with you. I took the personality test that you gave me. I actually gave it to my college students. I would have never thought.
Tangy. You're tangy. Robert's tangy. I know who all the tangy people are, Desmond, just by having a few minutes with you.
Yeah, I'm so tangy, so it's all good. But and real quick, Robert, because my question is going to be for both of you. But Robert, do you have your Faygo and your Better Made chips on you? Where you at?
Yeah, always rep the 313. So I have my always have it handy. And
I'm not even prepared.
Use a Detroit in me. So yeah, so it's always available with a little bit of Motown and all of that. So
yes, sir. I grew up off of Greenfield and Schoolcraft.
No doubt. Yeah, I grew up on Living Noise Retirement, so it was interesting times.
Awesome. So here's my question to the two of you. In working with and supporting Black teachers, do you all think, or what should we be thinking about in terms of when we're bringing new teachers into the field, keeping them there for the long term, and helping teachers who are in the field stay? Because I hear many a conversation about, this could be my last year. It doesn't matter if it's year 4 or if it's year 14 or if it's year 24. A lot of teachers are looking at, this could be my last year. Are there anything that you all are doing organizationally, strategically to support teachers in staying in the field for the
That
long
is a great question. I'll start off by saying it's so interesting you asked that. I remember when I was a professor at FAMU, at one time we were considering in our education department, because my bachelor's is in secondary physical education, and my master's and PhD are in sport management. So sport management at FAMU was housed in education. So I was an educator. I worked in an education department. And at one time we were considering dispositions, letting that be one of the factors that we judge whether a child who was in education be considered for education, the dispositions of them. Because some of them, like, you can just tell, like, really, you're going into education? Why? I think sometimes we set them up for failure because we don't look at the affective component. We don't look at those components when it comes to being an educator. And I think that if we created some type of programming within the education departments, that would help. What we have talked about and had on the table for a while is creating Black Educators Rock collegiate chapters. We look very, very large, but we are actually small in number, but we're mighty in the work that we do. And so we've had it on the table for a couple of years, but cannot find somebody to lead that charge. But I think that we need to have the Black Educators Rock collegiate chapters where they would have mentor teachers and they would understand how hard this work is, and they would get that real coming in, because a lot of time everything is idealistic and it's theoretical in nature, and they're not getting the practical part. They're not getting those components. And so that's something that we're still trying to figure out. How can we, and we're going to start at HBCUs first and then expand it, because that's just simpler for us as an organization. So that's one thing we're doing. And I can honestly say, thankfully, that's why Black Educators Rock exists. The Facebook group, the nonprofit. We have had people who came to the conference who literally said what you said, Desmond. Hey, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done. Hey, I only came to this conference. Literally, veteran educator. And she's one of my favorites. Her name is Joanne Bailey. She was about to leave education. She's in Central Florida. And there are a few others. And she went back and won Teacher of the Year after coming to the conference. Because the conference gives them a chance just to, say how you really feel, and it's a safe space, and you're not going to be judged by how you're feeling. But then it also shows you and gives you hope and connects you with people who are feeling the same way you are, but who can also provide some resources and some support systems for you.
And one of the things that I love, Dr. Chester, about that is that you have all of the educators in one place. You have the teachers, you have the principals, you have the assistant principals. So it's not segmented as in other conferences. And so you do get a feel for everything. It does give you motivation. And I have to shout out our Maryland leader, Simone Walden. She does an absolute fantastic job with the Maryland chapter. Kara Fuller is now helping her. We're just excited here in Maryland for BER, and you see that throughout all of the chapters. So thank you for, really putting that passion into this work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So guys, what I need for you to do, because they are hitting this feed up with social media and contact information, we've got to stop so that we can give contact information, starting with you, Principal Kafele. Please share all of your contact information, how they can be a part of the virtual academy, how they can purchase your books, everything.
Yeah, for contacting me and the virtual assistant principals summer leadership virtual academy, just go to principalkafele.com. Again, Principal Kafele, KAFELE.com, and you make sure you spell that principal with a PAL. Some folks want to try the PLE, and my website is broken.
Oh my goodness.
Principalkafele.com, and also you can connect with me on Twitter at Principal Kafele, and on Facebook at Principal Kafele. And all the information you need about being a part of the Assistant Principals Academy is on my home page. So just go to the website and you'll see it.
Awesome. Robert Simmons.
Yeah, folks can reach me at robert.simmons@urbanteachers.org. That's the best way to find me.
Okay. And Dr. Chester.
Yes, you can reach me on Facebook. We're Black Educators Rock, Inc. That's the Facebook page. You can join the page to keep updated on things. You can reach us via email at info@blackeducatorsrock.org or CEO@blackeducatorsrock.org. And that's an S on educators. So blackeducatorsrock.org. You can also call us. Our phone number is 1-833-4BER Inc. And you can call us toll free to reach us. And we're also on Twitter and Instagram, BER, Black Educators Rock. We're on all social media platforms. And so, yeah, we're available.
All right. I tell you what, this has been most impactful. And you guys have an open invitation to join Education First anytime. Anytime. We are here every fourth Sunday. What you have to share is just impactful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So guys, and you can hang on. We have 2 more guests. We're really excited to just do this work that these individuals have put out to us. And I challenge you, contact them, be a part of what they're doing because the work is so incredible. Wouldn't you all say? It's just, and you have to be in touch. You have to connect. You have to network. It's the power in it. Wouldn't you say?
I definitely agree. One of the things that I find is in crisis situations, individuals tend to get tribal. So we stay amongst the people we know. But I think this is a time more so than any other point where we need to be outside of our comfort zone,
Yes.
Connecting with people, learning new skills. My wife said, you know, when you come out of this, you need to have a new skill. I said, you do too. And I think that's professional and even in terms of our personal lives.
Absolutely. I agree.
This is time to connect. We know that people are reading and people are spending time on social media. So, there are opportunities for us to take advantage of the outbreak and how it's impacting us.
Absolutely. So guys, our final 2 guests, oh my goodness, I am so excited to have these individuals, Lisa Glenn and Marquisa Oliver. They are both educators, but they have just taken what has been a traumatic, really, experience for our high school seniors, because as we've been mentioning all along, we know that they will not have the traditional graduation that we have been accustomed to. I always say it's really taking that rite of passage from them, walking across that stage and getting that diploma. But what these ladies have done, they have created a group entitled Sending Out an SOS, Saving Our Seniors. And they are engaging individuals, anybody, come in and adopt these seniors so that we can show them love. I'm just so humbled and so excited. Lisa and Marquisa, welcome to Education First.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. So Lisa, you are a native of Philadelphia and you have been here though in Maryland over 30 years. Marquisa, you are from Baltimore, but you spent time in Philly at Temple University. So I'm really excited. And I just, I just want, first of all, to start out, because I did read that, Lisa, that you actually saw one of your friends actually have a similar group in the Philly area. So what compelled you to say, hey, we need to start one here in the Maryland area?
So it just started last week. I was on Facebook and I was invited to a group of Adopt a Senior 2020 from a sorority sister. So after looking through the page and I saw all the phenomenal, and I mean phenomenal seniors in their bios, I decided to bless a few seniors. So I invited some people to her page and so they could be blessed as well. But then I thought about it and I said, hey, the DMV, we need this. We need our seniors to be blessed as well. So I reached out to Marquisa and I told her about the idea. And she said, okay, let's go for it. Let's do it. We want to bless as many, we want to inspire, we want to support as many seniors as we can.
Wow, that's awesome. And so, Marquisa, when you joined the effort, because it's all about giving back, paying it forward, giving back. That's what it's about. So, Marquisa, when Lisa contacted you and said, "Hey, let's do that," what were your initial thoughts?
Well, I actually have a senior this year. So I'm in the house with somebody who goes through all the waves of emotions of trying to stay positive in spite of being hopeful that maybe things will take a tremendous turn for the better, and then embracing the reality of what's really happening, and the idea that there may not be the same level of celebration, prom and all those things. So when Lisa shared this with me, I was all in. I was like, we have to do this. And it's been incredible because, like Lisa said, we just started last week and we have over 600 members, and we've been able to bless 100 seniors. And it's been, I think the most powerful part is seeing what all these young people are doing and what their goals are for their lives, and how this simple act of kindness has really changed their ability to look at this in a much more positive and hopeful way.
Awesome.
And I was also sharing with someone, you know, when you think about a high school graduation, you get your name called, you walk across the stage, and you get your diploma and you sit down. This is a chance for parents to not only shout out their child's name, but they get to brag on their child, and they get to talk about all of the accomplishments, any challenges that they face, all the accolades. It's the posts, the bios, that when you read them, I mean, they can make you laugh, they can make you smile, they can even make you cry, because it's just so amazing, the talent of this class of 2020 that they have.
Thank you so much. So I'm excited. I actually just joined, and I will be adopting one of the seniors, but I also have nieces and cousins and others who are also seniors. So I'll be sending their information there. I'm also excited, Ms. Glenn, that you are a school counselor.
Yes.
As a former school counselor, when I see this, it's really great to see everything that we're doing. My question to you all is, how easy or how hard is it to become a member of your group and to really make sure that it's happening?
Marquise, you want to
go? It's really not difficult. We do ask a few preliminary questions when people come to join the page. We want to know if they're posting a senior or if they're coming to adopt. And then we try to create like a balance between people who are coming in to adopt seniors and those that are coming in to post. So it's not difficult at all. We are looking for all kinds of sponsors, because the biggest challenge is making sure that all of our seniors get sponsored. And that's been the goal for Lisa and I, to not let any senior get left behind in this process.
Absolutely. And we, as of what Marquisa stated, we have, from this morning, I think we have 104 that have been adopted, and we have 580 plus members in the group right now. And in order for a senior to get adopted, they need to have 3 sponsors to be considered a full adoption. And then they pay it for it. We ask them, it's not a requirement, but we ask people, if your senior has been adopted, then maybe you can pay it for it and adopt another one.
Awesome. Really quickly, and I remember my high school graduation, and it's much more important to me now than it was at the time. But can you talk about, for people who may be interested in signing up, the power of helping, in this sense, kids, right, our 17 and 18-year-olds, understand that even though something is being taken from them, it's an opportunity to pay it forward in the future. Can you just talk about that?
You want to go, Lisa?
Go ahead. I'll go.
Okay. So I'm actually very glad that you asked that question, because one of the things that we've seen trending on the page are parents reaching out for support for their students, giving them advice, but also the idea that they want to continue supporting them through college. which is that extension that you're speaking to. The idea that parents want to, sponsors actually want to be able to follow those students that they're sponsoring throughout their college career or give to them on an ongoing basis. So that's definitely something that has been a benefit of having this group.
And I've also had parents inbox me after their child has been adopted saying, what else can I do? I want to do more. Not only support, can I reach out to the parent and ask them, can I get books for them or whatever it may be? So it's going forward. It's amazing. It's amazing the support that we're getting from the sponsors.
Awesome.
And Lisa and Marquisa, I too am a parent of a senior who is graduating actually from college. So definitely I know that feeling and that regret of not being able to participate in that graduation. And we're looking at parents now, and we know that parents are really, they have transformed themselves into educators. And with your counseling background, what strategies and techniques can you share so that parents can deal not only with the academics, because I can tell you when my kids were in high school, yes, I currently am working at a high school, but I had a challenge in helping them with all the rigorous coursework. And I mean, I even teach at the college level, and sometimes it can be very challenging, but let alone the academics, but talk about the social and the emotional strategies and techniques that you can share with parents to help our kids as they get through these tough times.
Marquisa, you want to talk about your group? You want to go?
Which group are you talking about?
Where the social emotional part of the distance learning and things of that sort. Just things that you.
I do feel that some of this, I think, let me backtrack a little bit. I think one of the things that we've been able to support parents with is just helping them to be calm, because the panic of everything that's happening makes them feel as though the pressure is stronger than it needs to be. So one of the things that I've been really reaching out with parents mostly about is just to create an atmosphere of calm and being patient with students and not forcing them to do the work or sitting in front of the computer for tremendous amounts of time, because none of that is productive. And we all know as educators, children do not learn under duress at all. And the other true reality is that a lot of children aren't even fully expressing their own fears and concerns about what's going on, because it's novel, it's confusing, and the media is confusing, and there's so many other things that they're exposed to. The processing time is not happening, the conversation. So one of the other strategies that I've encouraged parents is to spend significant time talking to your children about non-academic things. Like, what are you watching? What's that YouTube video that you're seeing? What do you think about this? So just creating a more of a conversation around things, and then using that as an opportunity to teach them about corroborating sources and checking information, and not making this a stressful learning experience.
And that is so important.
Right.
And as far as me being a counselor, I've done temperature check-ins with my students. I reach out to my students periodically, and basically it's a survey where they have to talk about how they're feeling, and if they feel like answering in short answer format to go into more detail, they can, or they don't have to. And it's interesting because many of my students during the temperature check-in, I've had responses like, it's boring, I want to go back to school, or I want a live teacher, or it's difficult to navigate this website. So they're feeling all kinds of different things. And also, if they specify on the temperature check-in that they need someone to contact them, they're struggling, then I reach out to them personally.
Awesome. And thank you for what you're doing again and again, because you're on the front lines and you're serving the kids, and we appreciate all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Porter, you're muted.
You're muted, Doc.
Thank you. If you can give out your information one more time, how can people join the groups to either adopt or to share their seniors information?
So it's a Facebook profile. The name of the group is SOS, Support Our Seniors. And Marquisa is the tech person here. What's the best way for them to get to it? They have to have Facebook, correct, Marquisa?
You do have to have Facebook, and it's Supporting Our Seniors. And if you go into groups and search SOS, it'll pop up as one of the trending senior groups. There are different ones out there, so make sure that the one that you identify does say SOS, because Lisa and I make sure that it's a very comfortable dynamic in terms of what people are comfortable exchanging in terms of information to reach out to seniors. So I just want to make sure that people are accessing the correct group. And then they will see a video of Lisa in our group. So they'll see her face, and they'll see myself and another person as administrators on the page.
Well, we really do thank you. And a shout out to my adoptee, Jalen. I'm so excited. I've already
Thank you.
Yes, I've already been communicating with her mom. So excited. So we just really want to say thank you for all that you all are doing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you
much.
for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
What a nice gesture that they are doing for the seniors. And, you know, I'm all about giving back, and I'm so excited that our magazine, VMP Magazine, will be dedicating the educational section for the May issue to seniors. So we're featuring seniors, their bios. There are even a select few that have joined in to do a book collaboration, class of 2020, What's Next? So to share their journey. So we are so excited about everything that we're doing to uplift our seniors. And this is for college and or high school seniors. So just a wonderful show today, right? And we say that all the time, but we just have such dynamic educators to come on and represent what they're doing. So we are really at the end of our show, and I want to give my host an opportunity for anything that's upcoming for you guys, Eunice, Essie, Desmond. What's coming up for you guys?
So I'll be setting up my website pretty soon, and so I'll be setting that out and sending through social media. You'll be able to see all of the different webinars that I'll be putting together. And so just stay positive and stay encouraged, and be safe.
Awesome. Dr. Essie, what do you have going on?
I can tell you quite a bit, as always. I have always said that I love education, and I truly do, and that's K-12 to college. I'm currently teleworking, helping to impact the lives of students. I'm also doing a little collaborating at George Mason University, writing some books. So I have a few books that are getting ready to come out, whether I'm contributing author or forward author. Definitely the magazine. Just had an opportunity during this time to redesign my website. So please go out there and check that out, and all my social media platforms. You can contact me at McKoy, that's MCKOY at gmail.com. But definitely you can see my website and look to see all the wonderful things that are going on, all the events that are coming up. And that is dressiespeaks.com.
Awesome. Future Dr. D?
Awesome. I too have made some changes and some upgrades to my website. You can find me there at www.nylinka.org. I'm specifically working with schools to get them to pivot their conversation around what Principal Kafele said, being flexible and malleable and prepared for what will happen when kids do start to return.
Yeah.
You can reach me on all social media platforms at Nylinka, save for LinkedIn. I'm sorry, at Nylinka, save for LinkedIn. You can find me at Desmond Williams, and you can also purchase my first book, The Burning House, Educating Black Boys in Modern America. You can find that on my website at www.nylinka.org, or you can purchase on Amazon.
Awesome. And if you have a high school or senior college graduate that you would like recognized on the VMP Magazine website or in the VMP Magazine, you can contact us at info@vmpmagazine.com, and is spelled out. So I just want to say thank you all for a wonderful show today. We want to thank all of our guests. Oh my goodness, Principal Mapele, Dr. Melissa Nolan-Chester, Robert Simmons, Lisa Glenn, and Martha Oliver. Just a wonderful show. And of course, my dynamic host, Dr. Eunice Humphrey, Dr. Essie McKoy, and the future Dr. Desmond Williams. We want to say thank you so much, guys. Stay safe as always, and we'll see you the next fourth Sunday.
Okay, be safe.